You make positive meaning, empowering meanings of things that happen in your life. You're not a victim. You're not a victim. You're a Muslim. You're not a victim. Things don't happen to you, they happen for you. Remember this. You need some. You cannot just Amazon Prime it. You make a dua. I'm watching my status for the dua. Allah, where is it? That's not how it works. You love Allah so much that you don't want to disappoint Him. It is not the fear of Allah, it's the fear of disappointing Allah, because Allah, I love you so much. I don't want you to be disappointed in me. When we love Allah, we listen to Allah. Why was it that the 5 pillars that we have, 80% of them came in Medina? The time in Mecca was focused on that 20%. But that 20% is the 80%. But the way for us to love Allah is by understanding who Allah is. Nothing happens in your life, nothing, without the permission of Allah. Get that in your head. Inna alhamdulillah, nahmadu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruh. Wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina. من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. We begin by praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We praise Him, we thank Him for everything He's provided for us, and we acknowledge that indeed the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam is indeed the Messenger of Allah. We also bear witness that there is no guidance except from the guidance of Allah. And if Allah chooses and allows you to go to be guided, there's none who can misguide you. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allows you to be led astray, there's none who can guide. And of course we bear witness that there's nothing worthy of worship and obedience except Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu taqullaha haqqa tuqati wa la tamutunna illa wa antum muslimun. Oh, you who have believed. Oh, you who believe. Do not die in any other condition except the submission of your will to Allah Azza wa Jal. Do not die in any condition except Islam. And to have taqwa, God consciousness, fear, mindfulness, awareness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today's topic is supposed to be about taqwa, but it's going to bounce around between taqwa and tawakkul. It's going to bounce around the two because it's needed. And you see, when we think of taqwa, we all understand it means fearing Allah, be conscious of Allah, consciousness of Allah. That's what taqwa has its association with. I like to think of the example that usually you might be driving really, really fast. But if perhaps your app, or maybe you spot something where that there's a police car ahead, you might monitor your speed a little more. You might be driving at a very fast, pace over here on these roads. But then you see one of those cameras that say 25 miles only because of the schools, and you slow down a little bit. That's the idea of taqwa. You see, whoa, they're watching me. They're aware of me. Hence, I gotta be more mindful of my own habits. You see, that's how we have to be with Allah, but His example is far higher. That when we are alone, privately, there are no cameras physically here, but we have Allah Azza wa Jal recording everything. There's angels assigned to us to record every single thing that we have done. There's evidence. CCTV is nothing compared to what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared for us. When we think taqwa, we think of being afraid that, Allah will see me, which is definitely a part of taqwa, which is definitely a part of being conscious of Allah. But it is not that we should be just fearing Allah. We should be fearing disappointing Allah. We shouldn't just fear like, oh my God, Allah's going to punish me. That's one side of the argument. That's one way to think about things. And if that works for you to help you stay aligned, mashallah, go for it. But try doing something else too. Try leading with love. Try leading with the idea that perhaps you love Allah so much that you don't want to disappoint Him. It is not the fear of Allah, it's the fear of disappointing Allah, because Allah, I love you so much. I don't want you to be disappointed in me. The opposite is true, where we know that when Allah loves you, He tells the angels, telling the angels to tell the creation that He loves such and such. That is the level that we have to get to, taqwa. Conscious of Allah, that man, I just did a really good deed. Why is it that when we think of taqwa, it's only when there's negative deeds? Only, fearful. No. But what about when you're giving that charity, taqwa? Allah, you're going to accept this from me. You're watching this, Allah. I did this only for you, Allah. My fear, my love is only for you, Allah. I love you, Allah, hence I do this. You see, as a school teacher myself, I've learned something. That when your students love you, they'll listen to you. Sah? When your students love you, they'll listen to you. When we love Allah, we'll listen to Allah. Why was it that the 5 pillars that we have, 80% of them came in Medina? The time in Mecca was focused on that 20%, but that 20% is the 80%. It is the most important part, which is the tawheed, the oneness of Allah, the love of Allah, the reverence of Allah. Because if the first ayat of the Quran was about abandoning wine, that would have been tough. That would have been really tough. So what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did was strategic. He said that this is what I'm going to do. For the entire time you're in Mecca, I'm going to make sure that you fall in love with worshiping Allah, loving Allah, obeying Him. You love to obey Him. Once you do that, when the ayahs of the Quran comes out for disposing of the wine, the streets of Medina were filled. Because when you love Allah, you listen to Allah. That's the fact. But the way for us to love Allah is by understanding who Allah is. And that comes from multiple sources, multiple ways that you can do that. You can perhaps read the 99 names of Allah and fall in love with the names of Allah. Learn to call Allah by His different unique names. Play a game with yourself. You know what, Allah, today, for 99 straight days, I'm going to use a new name for you every single day. I'm going to call you by that name today, all day. Tomorrow, new day, new name, all day. And act upon it. Act upon those names and repeat them. Find yourself making dua in your sujood, calling to Allah with the most beautiful of names. And you'll see how your life will change around. With the help and permission of Allah. With His knowledge, with His, approval, it will change. By the grace of Allah. The second part that I want to talk to you about is tawakkul. Is trusting in Allah. Trusting in Allah that Allah is indeed the one who runs your affairs. Nothing happens in your life. Nothing without the permission of Allah. Get that in your head. Nothing will happen in your life without the permission of Allah. Good or bad. If you feel like something bad is happening to you, notice I'm quoting the bad. Because it's only bad if you make it that meaning. If you make the meaning of what's happening in your life right now to be bad, oh, Allah hates me, it's a punishment. That's what's happening, then you're probably right. Because the Messenger ﷺ has reported, narrated a hadith to us, Qudsi, about how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is to His servants as they believe and will perceive Him to be. So if you're here interpreting the meanings of your life, of all the situations and circumstances that's happening in your life to be something horrible, Allah doesn't like you, He doesn't love you, He's punishing you, then, Habibi, that's what you're going to get. Everything after that's just, oh, Allah, what did I do? Oh, stuff like that. Now, you should be saying istighfar. You should be turning it around. But the meaning you're making is wrong. What if the meaning is, Allah, you're developing me? It's a different meaning now. Allah, you're testing me. You're sculpting me. You're teaching me how to be patient. That's a different meaning. Now, if your meaning is, Allah, you're teaching me sabr. Allah, you're teaching me to have more consciousness, have more tawakkul. Now, once you believe that and feel that, you're going to invite the tests and challenges of Allah. Allah, give me more. I want more development, Allah, because you embrace them and you step into the challenges instead of running away from them. In the second part of the khutbah, inshallah, we're going to be talking about the tawakkul and something that's happening in our main life right now that we can take lessons from Surah Kahf as well too. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. So the first part was about taqwa. It's about consciousness of Allah. And it's not necessarily about just fearing Allah, though that is one dimension of it. I'm telling you to lead more with love and understand that if you interpret that I want to love Allah so much that I will listen to Him more, that is how you go down that path. And there will be times that you have to use fear. When there's a moment where you have to apply that, like, Allah, you're watching me, I need to stop. Allah, I'm about to do something wrong, I need to stop. You're fearing Allah. But throughout your day, it shouldn't be that way. It should be, Allah, how can I make you more happy with me? That will cause you to increase with more taqwa. How can I make you more proud of me? How can I make you love me more? When you lead with those types of questions, when you make meaning of your life like that, trust me, you look for every opportunity to please Allah, because your mindset is, I am here to worship Allah and to please Him. That is my mindset. Tawakkul. What's that all about? It comes from the main root, which is one of Allah Azza wa Jall's name, Al-Wakil. The one who's in charge of authorizing your affairs. Your affairs are authorized by Him. You know, when you use your debit card or something like that, it says authorization. Your cards have chips in them, like little SIM cards. And they're calling the bank to see, can you authorize this? Allah's example is far higher. When you raise your hands to Allah, you're calling Him directly, Al-Wakil. Oh Allah, oh Al-Wakil, help me. Authorize the affairs for me. If it's good for my deen, my dunya, my akhirah, Allah, authorize it for me. Accept it, approve it, Allah. Give it the stamp of approval for me, Allah. But Allah, if it's not good for my deen, my dunya, akhirah, Allah, prevent it from happening. Replace it with something better for me. You see, in Surah Kahf, one of the parts of Al-Kahf is about tawakkul. And there's 3 stories about tawakkul. Yarhamullah. There's 3 stories about tawakkul. And they all lead with something. There's a main lesson that we all forget. That tawakkul is not possible. Listen to what I'm saying. Tawakkul is not possible if you don't have sabr. You need sabr. You cannot just Amazon Prime it, you make a dua. I'm watching my status for the dua. Allah, where is it? That's not how it works. You've been brainwashed by tracking statuses that, oh, I just need to know where things are. No, there's an ilmul ghaib. There's unknown, unseen. Allah has knowledge of that. Your du'as go into the unseen, the unknown. But Allah heard it. He approved it. He's al-Wakil. Now it's a matter of you having sabr and preparing and waiting for the dua to come true, to come to life, to come to fruition. The first time required taqwa. Taqwa in Allah, that you fear Allah, that I'm only going to be doing whatever pleases Allah. Musa alayhi salam and the man that he was with were going. And we know the story, they punctured the boat. For them, for the fishermen, they had no idea. But they had full tawakkul in Allah. Allah's going to handle it. Yep, my boat might be damaged. That might take away my livelihood. But Allah's going to handle it. Why? Because I have tawakkul. Oh, I got a flat tire. Oh, my car just got damaged. Allah is for a good reason. I have tawakkul on you. You make positive meaning, empowering meanings of things that happen in your life. You're not a victim. You're not a victim. You're a Muslim. You're not a victim. Things don't happen to you, they happen for you. Remember this. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is watching everything. So remember that. But they had tawakkul. But Musa alayhi salam lacked sabr. So he couldn't see the benefits of that tawakkul because he couldn't wait. Okay, then what happens? I'm going to skip and then I'm going to come back to the middle one. The last one. Oh, they go to a town. Musa alayhi salam and the companion. They go to that town. And in that town, they're not treated nice, terrible treated. But they have tawakkul. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to honor them and take care of them no matter what. They come upon these orphans and they help raise the wall. It was a falling wall. They help raise it. They had full tawakkul that whatever's happened, the family, they don't know what's going on. You're raising my wall, putting it down. We're orphans. What do we have? We have nothing but Allah. They had full tawakkul on Allah. That Allah, we're orphans. We have a mom, but you know what? Allah, you're going to take care of us. But Musa alayhi salam couldn't understand. So what happens? Musa alayhi salam questioned him because he had no sabr. He had no avid sabr. Listen, these are the anbiya. They had the most sabr. But even them, they needed even more sabr. There's something in human beings that requires us to have sabr, and it's the most difficult thing. But it's also an act of worship. It's also something Allah Azza wa Jal loves when He sees His servant, His slave, His worshipper, exercising sabr. Notice I use the word exercising sabr. Meaning, it's a muscle. It could be developed. You could make it stronger. If you don't have sabr now, Allah's going to keep putting you in situations and circumstances to make you develop the sabr muscle. So what happens next? We know the story. They got older. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to do that so that when they become older and they're stronger, they can take care of the treasure that their father had left behind. Okay. I want to talk to you about the last thing that requires tawakkul, which is death. Which is death. It's one of the most difficult things that a human being has to go through. Even the Messenger ﷺ had a year named after it, and it was the year of sorrow. Why? Because of the death. Death is tough on everyone, including the Messenger ﷺ. So if you're someone who's experiencing loss, the number one thing that you have to realize that it's okay if you feel a little bad. It's okay. Even the best of humans who walk this earth felt bad. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We're allowed to feel bad too. But you never lose tawakkul. You never question the decree of Allah. Why? He's al-Wakil. You don't question His decree. Why? He is al-Wakil. He is the one who approved the death. That means it was good for you. There's a lesson for you. You might have to make a meaning of it. So what happens? These parents, they see a kid, and Musa a.s. and his companion kills the kid. Wow! Oh my God! That's so scary! Kills the kid. Musa a.s. is losing it. He's like, how can you just, innocent soul, what are you doing? And at the time, of course, Musa a.s. didn't have the sabr required. But then later on, we find out that this child was going to grow up to be someone that the parents would not have liked. He would have been difficult upon the parents. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decides to remove that child. And what happens? When a child passes away, it's Jannah. It's a clear ticket to Jannah. You're good. And guess what? The patience that the parents have to exercise helps them get to Jannah too. Wow, 2 for 1 deal. What a coupon. You thought it was bad for you. Allah said, no. That child that got taken away, they're in Jannah. You're going to be patient with this. You're going to be in Jannah too. Amazing. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because recently I heard of a 7-year-old beautiful girl dying, passing away in Brooklyn. And I want to use, you try to think of softer words, passing away, dying, taken away. But there's nothing to really express how you feel about death, especially when it comes to a kid. This is the most difficult time in anyone's life, especially in a parent's life, because this is where the iman is getting checked. Do you believe in Allah? Yes. Do you really believe when you say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un? Do you really believe that? If so, now's the time to exercise that. It's so easy for us to hear about it, feel a little sad, say, Inna lillahi wa. Whoa, it's tough. It's really tough. But this requires those parents, and any parents who have lost a child, to have a ton of tawakkul. A ton of tawakkul that Allah, nothing happens without your permission. And Allah, this is good for me. This is good for my deen, my dunya, my akhirah. Allah, you have taken my child away from me, but I haven't lost them. Why? Because they're waiting in Jannah for me. Allah, this is my ticket to Jannah. So a Muslim never loses. We don't know how to lose because we always win. And if you want to win as a Muslim, you have to make more positive and empowering meanings of life and the circumstances and situations that happen to you and for you in this dunya. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Oh Allah, we ask you to help us develop taqwa. We ask you, Allah, to help us develop taqwa and God consciousness and love for you, Allah, and understanding for you, Allah. And we ask you, Allah, to help us please develop more tawakkul in you, Allah, to trust in you, Allah, to allow us to call you by your beautiful names, Allah. We ask you, Allah, to help us, guide us to the straight path, Allah, to prevent us from going astray, Allah, and to allow us to quit all of our bad deeds and habits that are stopping us from getting closer to you. Ya Rabbi, we need you. We need you, Allah. Allow us to always remember that and allow us to never, even for a blinking of an eye, to think that we're in charge of our affairs. Jazakallah once again for listening. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama sallaita ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Allahumma barik ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad kama barakta ala Ibrahim wa ala ali Ibrahim innaka Hamidum Majid. Welcome.